Yeah, Coach, just wonder, what have you seen out of your guys, without Odell? I mean, how hard are they, have you seen a level of energy this week, despite, how you would think devastating that might be?
Yeah, we've had great energy this week as a group. I think offensively, it's been a really good week of practice. The guys have worked extremely hard. I know that the receivers have really embraced, their roles. I think every week is different in our game plan, and everyone has a different role every week. And certainly the roles that we've asked of them this week, getting ready for the Raiders, they've done an outstanding job of going out and trying to put our team in the best position to win by embracing those roles. They've done a great job. We've had a really good week of practice.
I mean, Higgins seems very fired up for his opportunity. Did you see that too?
Yeah, I did. I mean, this is somebody that I've spoken about in the past, of his overall work ethic, his preparation, what he's done when people aren't looking, I think has been outstanding. And he's been a real professional. He's been, outstanding in our meetings. He's been outstanding of working very hard when he wasn't in the role that he's in now. And I think that I was not a bit surprised by his performance in this game based off of all the things he's done prior to that moment to put himself in a position to be successful. And that was very nice to see, and a very good example for our other players, that if you prepare and if you continue to work, when you're called upon, you have the opportunity to have success if you do those things.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. We'll go to Jeff Shadell next.
Hey, Coach, we can imagine, we know it's going to be like without Odell on the field, but what are you missing from him not being in the meeting rooms?
I think, Odell has been somebody that we have a tremendous amount of respect for. The guys in our room have a very close relationship with him. And everybody knows of Jarvis and his relationship, but he also has a very strong relationship with other members of our group. So, he's not there with us now. And I think the group's done a great job right now of, going and continuing to do the things we do from a work ethic standpoint, of putting the team first in everything we do. And certainly I think that we all want him in the room with us, but they've done such a good job of understanding what the goal is daily and what our goal is with the Raiders this week, and kind of staying in the present and working really hard.
Thank you, Jeff. Nate Ulrich, you're up next.
Hey, Coach. With the kind of leader Jarvis is he kind of rallied your room this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have a leader in Jarvis Landry in our room. He certainly is somebody the other guys look to. And, if he brings an energy to the practice field, if he brings an energy to the meeting room and shows the other guys that's what it's going to be and that's the standard, that's very beneficial to our group. And it's, again, to have great leaders in our room, specifically the receiver room, is something that's very beneficial to us.
In a moment of leadership we saw when he helped Harrison Bryant line up. Just what does that do for you guys as a coaching staff when you have a player out there with that type of awareness?
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about you have to be your very best under pressure in situational football, and that was a great example of it, just to have the awareness on that play to look over and see the tight end, that needs to be aligned in a different way. And I think that, it's as a coach, to have those guys out there and know that in the critical situations in the game, you can rely and trust those players is awesome. And certainly we have other players. I thought Baker handled himself so well throughout that game in a number of different ways, but especially when the most pressure was on, the most critical situations of the game is when really you have to have the most awareness. And there was a lot of good examples of that in the past game.
Thank you, Nate. Scott Petrick, you're up next.
Hey, Coach. From an on-field perspective, do you think Jarvis will feel the need to take on a bigger role now without Odell?
I think that what we've asked our players to do is, we're going to do this by committee. And I don't think, one player can replace any other player, regardless of who it is. And, Jarvis has obviously a very big role in our offense. And there's a lot that has to do with the game plan, and where we are with the team we're playing and what we need to do to play to our strengths and in that specific game. So I think Jarvis has done a great job this week of knowing what his role is, going on the practice field and providing that leadership that he has. And then also, going out and trying to do his job the best he can. So Jarvis is always going to do what's asked of him, whatever the role is, whether it's obviously a limited role or a bigger role. We trust him to do the right thing, as we have a lot of players on this team that we can trust to do the right thing.
And you mentioned how close he is with Odell, and we haven't talked to Jarvis this week. So did it take him a while to kind of process not having Odell with him, and was he able to kind of get past that hurdle?
Well, I think that, anytime obviously you have a player on your team get injured, and then you have a player that you're so close to, and that we all know the relationship with Jarvis and Odell, that, there is a period of time that it takes. But I think Jarvis did an outstanding job in the game, because he performed very well for us and was a big part of our success in that game of moving on. And that's not being disrespectful towards Odell. That's just what we have to do as professionals. And he has done the same thing this week. He's come to work like he does every week, and he's done a nice job and worked really hard this week. But as much as we all want Odell in the building and the guys respect him, we also know that the task at hand is to put forth the best effort we can on a daily basis and go try to play the Raiders, a very good football team, and play the best job we can, best we can in the game.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Mary Kay Cabot, you have our next question.
Yeah, Coach, just wondering, can you sort of help put into perspective, you've coached some really great receivers throughout your career, just how good Odell Beckham Jr. is as a receiver, how he impacts a defensive coordinator's game plan in the week, and then kind of also how he handled the leaner times of this season when, he just really wasn't getting the ball very much.
Yeah, I really appreciated the way he came to work every day. He was coming off the injury in the offseason, and I thought he did an outstanding job. He worked so extremely hard to get in a position to really help the team. And from day one, working with him, whether it was in the offseason in the virtual program or when we got to be able to work with him on the field in our training camp, he always did exactly what we asked of him. He really embraced the role that he had, regardless of what it was on that day or in that game plan. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for him in that way, because we all are aware of his skill set and his tremendous ability. And I always felt like he was trying to do what was best for the team. And I thought that was a good example for all of us, that despite one's level of success or ability, that at the end of the day, what was most important to him is that he put the team first. And that's what I saw in him. And, I appreciated the way in which he embraced that concept.
And just kind of how good was he, if you can encapsulate or put into words, just watching him up close and personal in practice in these games, just how good is Odell?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that obviously I always enjoyed watching his pregame warmups and make some of the catches that he did. I mean, it's amazing what he could do with his ball skills. And obviously, he impacted the game and still will impact the game just because of what he brings from a vertical, passing game and being a threat to the defense. So, he does so many things very well. And I think that, aside from the physical part of it, I was impressed with a lot of the things that he did away from the field to get himself in position to play at a high level. He worked extremely hard, and I think he tried to put the team first.
We have time
Thank
for
you.
two more. Anthony Posall and then Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Coach. Baker and Kevin this week both said that Donovan Peoples-Jones is really impressed with how quickly he's, learned the playbook and all the schemes. And so how did he impress you before he made that big play last Sunday? And how much bigger could his role get with Beckham out now?
Yeah, he's another guy like Rashard Higgins who has worked so hard in the classroom and has spent extra time learning the offense. And, I know we refer to him as reliable, and that's what he is. He's He's able to play in multiple positions because he can mentally handle that, because he works really hard at being able to handle that. And that allows other players on the field to utilize their skill set and their strengths best. You know, so when you can move a player around when you have to adjust, like we did in the Cincinnati game, and now you're faced with moving those parts around, when you have a player that can move around multiple spots, it allows you to put the guy you need at that spot that's going to be the strongest guy at that spot. So he's done an outstanding job again in his preparation. He's smart, he works hard, and I think he's really done a good job of putting the team first in everything he's done also.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. The last one, Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Coach, I know you said you weren't surprised by Higgins' success the other day, but how impressive was that 30-yard catch? Did you get to go back and take a close look at it and all that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I watched it several times, and as I watch it more and more, it's more impressive. That was a great throw and catch. And I'll say a lot of the credit goes to Baker. I mean, he's worked so hard, and he did such an outstanding job, dealing with the adversity early we had with the injury to Odell, and then having some players play at different spots than he was used to having them play. And I thought that was what was most impressive about that with Baker, is that, he trusted a lot of guys on the field that he didn't work specifically with in those roles. But he almost had that blind faith and that trust. And certainly, it was so encouraging and rewarding to see those guys make those plays. But it was also an awesome thing to see a quarterback, trust in those guys that they were going to do the right thing and be in the right spot and come through for them. So I can't say enough about, Baker and the way he's handled a lot of those things that have come up that might not be perfectly planned, or we might have not practiced them, exactly that way.